Stop! This is not your average deck tech. This is a story full of ups and downs, triumphs and failures. A story of how I puzzled together and built an ambitious double secret commander deck. So if you would like to learn how to accomplish such a feat, and how to weave synergy throughout all aspects of your deck building, stick around, and I'm sure you'll learn something. Hey Simps, have you guys ever noticed the insane amount of synergy between Minn, Wily Illusionist and Preston the Vanisher? Both these legends create illusion tokens. Minn will let you put permanents from your hand into play for free when they die, and Preston provides us with an extremely powerful sacrifice outlet and removal engine, which will allow us to trigger Minn's second ability and dump our hand into play for free. That's insane levels of value and synergy. These two play off each other like peanut butter and jelly. So ever since I recognized the synergy between these two legends, I've been searching and brainstorming decks that I can fit both of them into that will be able to take advantage of both of their unique capabilities and requirements to create their illusion tokens. My initial instinct was to go with a Blink strategy. Blink is great at triggering Preston and taking advantage of the additional ETB value he provides with his copies. Blink also works for triggering Minn. You can set up a situation with Yorion and another Blink creature like Felidar Guardian, where you can flicker your whole board and they enter again each end step, so they'll leave and come back every turn. So as long as you can draw 2 cards from those ETBs you're generating, you can trigger Minn on each player's turn as well. So my first draft for this deck was a Yorion deck that aimed to do exactly this. However, there was an issue with this deck list. Blue and white are not very good at finding specific creatures. In fact, they're pretty awful at it, having minimal creature tutors available to those colors. Sure, the deck was totally functional as just an Azorius Blink deck without getting either of my secret commanders in play, but that wasn't what I wanted to accomplish with this deck. I wanted a deck that would show off this amazing and unique synergy to its fullest potential, and to do that, I have to be able to consistently get both of my secret commanders in play. So, I started brewing my second attempt. I was still confident the Blink strategy was the best way to utilize both of my commanders, but I needed to add a color that would give me access to more tutors. I decided to go with green, since I felt more consistent ramp, as well as cards like Eternal Witness, in case one of my secret commanders die, would help shore up some of the deck's shortcomings. And of course, green has some of the most consistent creature tutors in the game, between cards like Neoform, Eldritch Evolution, Worldly Tutor, Birthing Pod, and the list goes on. Looking for Bant Blink commanders, I had to go all the way back to 2013. Yes, I know it's crazy that Wizards hasn't printed another good Bant Blink commander since then, but luckily I found Rune of the Hidden Realm. In a similar fashion to Yorion, it is easy enough to set up a situation with Rune with either a Drum Bellower or a Seedborn Muse, where we can activate his ability each turn to be able to trigger both Minn and Preston multiple times a turn cycle. With Green's ability to tutor out our secret commanders much more consistently, I felt good about this list. I got it to a place where I could consistently find at least one of my 2 secret commanders. The issue here, however, was with Rune himself. Sadly, the 11 years since his release have not been kind to him. It is much harder these days to play a 5-drop and then wait an entire turn cycle before you can get any value out of it. I'm not saying Rune can't be good anymore, but certainly having a clunky commander and having a clunky game plan of finding 2 specific legends and having them stick long enough to generate an impressive amount of value without getting anything removed was just too much to ask for Modern Commander. I still believe a Blant Flicker deck built around Minn and Preston is viable, but I think we're going to have to wait to get a more efficient commander for the strategy to really get to the place that I want it to be. After this second attempt and second failure, I started considering other strategies besides Blink. Most people, when they read Preston, all they can think about is Blink. And yeah, Blink is probably the easiest way to abuse him, but it's far from the only one. Preston triggers any time a non-token creature enters the battlefield without being cast. So on my third attempt, I decided to try a polymorph strategy. I felt like this would be a good fit, because I would be able to consistently find my commanders through polymorph effects, and then I can use cantrips and other bomb creatures such as Consecrated Sphinx in order to trigger them. I decided to use Kaikar as my commander, since he felt like the most straightforward polymorph commander in the colors I needed. However, there was a problem with this idea that I quickly realized. Having few enough creatures in my deck so that I could consistently find Preston and Minn with my polymorph effects meant that I didn't have enough creatures to get value from Preston. I was able to find my secret commanders, but I wasn't able to take advantage of them effectively enough. So I decided to scrap that idea. After 3 attempts and 3 failures to really accomplish what I really wanted, I was feeling pretty discouraged. However, there was one more strategy and one more color combination left for me to try. Esper Reanimator. Black has the tutors we need in order to find our secret commanders consistently, and Reanimator strategies are inherently good at getting creatures out of the graveyard in case one of our secret commanders ever gets removed. They are also largely creature-based ETB value decks, similar to Blink, that benefit from Preston, and reanimating does not count as casting a creature, so reanimating a creature will trigger Preston as well. I knew from my trials with Rune that I wanted an efficient commander that could come down early and help me generate value to propel me through the early game and help keep my resources full as I assemble my secret commanders. So I narrowed down my options between Sefris and Rafine, and finally settled on Sefris, since I felt having the actual reanimation engine in the command zone would give me more consistency with my Preston plan. Sefris wants you to put creatures into your graveyard on each player's turn. I felt like looters would be a great way to accomplish this, while also giving us draw outlets to draw cards on other players' turn in order to trigger Minn. Not to mention, if we get the initiative going and finish the Undercity and get that final room trigger, putting a creature into play through that room trigger will also trigger Preston. Finally, I got the list looking like I wanted it to. I did it. I finally had a list that felt good and can consistently create the interactions and play patterns I wanted from this ambitious double secret commander deck. I had multiple ways of interacting with, benefiting from, and finding both my secret commanders. Even though it took me 4 different decks, 4 different color combinations, and 3 completely different strategies, I persevered and accomplished my goal of creating a cohesive and consistent double secret commander deck. I hope you all learned something throughout this process. I know I did. If I had one major takeaway from this process, it's resiliency. I brewed the Blink versions of this list over a year ago. Like, when I go through my Architect, it literally says 15 months ago for my Rune list. At this point, I knew there was something missing from those lists, but I didn't give up. Just like we build our commander decks to withstand board wipes and bounce back from removal, making them resilient to whatever our opponents can throw at us, I was determined to make this synergy shine. So if you want to see this star sparkle for yourself, check out the full deck list in the description down below. And remember, don't give up on that weird strategy or niche synergy. Even if you have to step away and come back a year later, you will have new tools and new knowledge to make the deck work the way you want it to. When in doubt, take a step back. Maybe ask someone for advice. But most important of all, make sure you like and subscribe to my OnlyLands for the spiciest deck content and juiciest brewing stories on the internet. Hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I'll be back to my normal deck techs next week with some new Outlaws of Thunder Junction commanders. Should be very fun, very exciting. This set looks great. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time. Peace!